Yo, I am calling out all renters. If you're a renter, I really need your help. I'm looking for feedback on what is most important to you in an apartment that you're looking to rent. I'm Mark Buckner with Compass. I'm also a general contractor and a real estate investor. So I picked up a building in Logan Square that I love. I picked it up about 2 years ago and I got permits to remodel 2 units and then add a 3rd unit in a lower level. So I have this philosophy, and maybe you can validate it for me, is that I think that there's a shortage of vintage units out there with charm, with updates, and there's a larger pool of buyers for those versus new construction or kind of run-of-the-mill type apartments, right? And I also think there's a larger pool for kind of industrial vibe apartments. So I'm looking for your feedback and want you guys to weigh in. What I love, and I love as a whole, both in my personal residence and as an investor, is what I loved about this building was all the vintage charm. So it's been a labor of love for me, and I know I've overspent on certain areas to kind of keep that charm. But for me, as a long-term investor, it'll pay off, I believe, because I'll have less vacancies and I'll rent the units quicker. So my goal was to update the space, maintain the vintage charm, and kind of have the modern amenities. So here's some of the charm that we have. We have the original woodwork throughout this unit, right? Including some awesome built-ins that I love, and including radiators. Now, I think radiant heat is the best form of heat, right? Right now at my house, I have forced air and my nose is bloody, right? Sorry to be gross, but it is. And with the radiant heat, you won't have that issue. But they're big and they're bulky, so where I can keep the bulky ones, I kept them, right? I left this one, but over here, we put in a new one because it sucked up the whole living room space. It was like this big. So we found a metal one, wall-based one, that I think kind of allows for a larger living room, but still is gonna keep that vibe. Then in the kitchen, we updated it to make better use of the space, right? So we're adding our sink here. The sink used to be in that corner and it was a bottleneck, so we're adding it here over the window. You get the look outside, which I think is gonna be great. And then we brought in a floor that replicates kind of the 1920s, 1930s that I love, right? But what we also did, since we have radiators, is we're bringing in central AC. So I have a split system up here and I'm gonna have 2. It's gonna give you forced AC in the summer, so it won't be super hot, right? And then in the kitchen, you'll have your dishwasher, your oven, we have a microwave. We have vented that outside, so when you're cooking, the odors will go away. And then a nice modern refrigerator will be here. But the unit was really massive. This unit's about 1,800 square feet, and it had a whole nother room like this, and nobody knew how to use it, right? So my thought was, and this is what I like about investments, is they add value. So this was one big whole room. So we put up a wall and then made an ensuite. But in doing that, we've tried to keep to the tradition. I've purchased doors that are the same style, and we're doing trim, the same trim that's throughout the unit. This section, it was hard to find all trim that I could stain. So in this room, we're gonna paint the trim, but the rest of the area will still be that traditional natural stained pine wood, and we're gonna replicate that stain. And then in the bathroom, we kind of kept to like the tile pattern, right? We did a subway tile, and then we did the mosaic, we did the flower pattern, and then we did a little tile carpet pattern to etch out the square that you see in a lot of those old hotels. Just really, I'm excited about this unit, right? I'm excited about kind of keeping to the charm, keeping to the vintage, but with those modern amenities. So what do you think? Did we hit it out of the park, or did I completely miss the boat? Thanks for listening.